Welcome to the West Wing Week, your guide to everything that's happening at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. This week, the President honored our nation's top scientists and innovators, nominated a new Secretary of the Interior, and worked toward reducing gun violence, enacting immigration reform, and reducing our deficit in a balanced way. That's February 1st to February 7th, or what's up, cameraman?
These reforms would reduce our government's bill. What's up, cameraman?
On Friday, the President honored the recipients of the 2011 National Medals of Science and National Medals of Technology and Innovation.
Thanks to the sacrifices they've made, the chances they've taken, the gallons of coffee they've consumed, we now have batteries that power everything from cell phones to electric cars. We're learning to grow organs in the lab and better understand what's happening in our deepest oceans.
On Super Bowl Sunday, the President sat down with CBS News to discuss a range of issues currently facing our nation, including combat roles for America's servicewomen.
I meet extraordinary women in uniform who can do everything that a man can and more. One of my military aides is about 5 feet tall, probably weighs about 100 pounds. You put a 50-pound pack on her and she can do things that you or me would keel over doing.
On Monday, the President traveled to the seat of winter, Minneapolis, Minnesota, where he met with men and women who are on the front lines of fighting to prevent and reduce gun violence in our communities, including local police officers, community leaders, and advocates for those who've been touched personally by gun violence.
Now is the time for action. That we're not going to wait until the next Newtown or the next Aurora. We're not going to wait until after we lose more innocent Americans on street corners all across the country. Not going to wait until somebody else's father or son are murdered.
On Tuesday, the President hosted a meeting with progressive and labor leaders to discuss the ways in which immigration reform would strengthen the economy in communities all across the country. The President then took the podium at the White House briefing room to address looming automatic budget cuts that will cost jobs and slow down our recovery, also known as the sequester.
Let's keep on chipping away at this problem together as Democrats and Republicans to give our workers and our businesses the support that they need to thrive in the weeks and months ahead.
Later, the President dialed up the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens.
Congratulations. I know it was a bumpy season up and down, and for you guys to just stay steady the way you did is really a great feat.
The President then returned to the Roosevelt Room, this time for a meeting with business leaders, to discuss ways in which immigration reform would benefit their businesses by ensuring that all employees and employers are playing by the same set of rules. West Wing Week caught up with Cody Keenan in the speechwriting office, who's already hard at work helping the President write next week's address to a joint session of Congress.
So we are 1 week and 5 hours from the first State of the Union address of the President's second term. Last night we sent him the first draft and just met with him for about an hour, and he likes it, which is a big relief for us. The State of the Union process began last November after his re-election. These are huge binders put together by policy staffs and our assistant.
Wait, you mean Laura Dean?
Laura Dean.
Laura Dean.
Captain of the binder.
On Wednesday, the President announced Sally Jewell as his nominee to head up the Department of Interior, and at the same time congratulated outgoing Secretary Ken Salazar.
Even as Sally spent the majority of her career outside of Washington, where I might add the majority of our interior is located, she is an expert on the energy and climate issues that are going to shape our future. She's shown that a company with more than $1 billion in sales can do the right thing for our planet.
On Thursday, the President, the Vice President, and the First Lady attended the annual prayer breakfast, an event that's been held on the first Thursday of February every year since 1953.
In the midst of all these debates, we must keep that same humility that Dr. King and Lincoln, Washington, and all our great leaders understood is at the core of true leadership. And our task as citizens is to spend our days with open hearts and open minds.
Then, the President met with members of his cabinet to talk about immigration reform and hosted Magic Johnson for a meeting at the White House. To find out more information on any of these topics or to see complete videos of these events, go to whitehouse.gov. And thanks again for checking out your West Wing Week.
I want to congratulate these extraordinary Americans once again for all their accomplishments. I want to wish our military aides the best of luck as they attempt to read the citations. Because I can assure you they practice hard on this all week long. You good? You feel good? All right. There are a lot of syllables in some of these things. All right. And I won't know the difference, but they will. All right. Congratulations, everybody. Come on.